Would you look at this crazy weather? It is pouring down rain and the sun is absolutely shining. Just kind of give you an update as to what all is going on. They got the dirt finished and they left, thank God. So the trailer will be in here Monday, hopefully. They had some problems, so they weren't able to get it all done and installed today. So Monday is what they tell me. Hopefully. You can see all the steam coming up. Like it's like 90 degrees and it's pouring down rain, sun shining. So, yeah, look at me. Yeah, I'm soaked. Anyway, I was going to do a video of 2 mowers that I just got. Just went and picked them up a little while ago. One is a Boland's and it looks really good now that it's gotten wet. 15 horsepower Briggs & Stratton, 38-inch cut. They have some problems with it. I should be able to get it running, shouldn't be a problem. That'll be a good sale. This is a Briggs & Stratton engine. It's a 12 horsepower. It's on a snapper mower. What I'm going to do is take the deck off, clean it up, prep it, and sell it. Tear this one apart. The motor is going to go on that really nice Murray that I've got available. But I wanted to show you all this. I've never seen one of these before. There's a lot of stuff I've never seen, but this is a signature series Briggs & Stratton. FP Stratton Jr. Frederick P. Stratton Jr., Chairman and CEO of Briggs & Stratton. 12 horsepower, quiet rider IC. Never seen one of those before. That's interesting. So, anyway, yeah, look at my hair. We're going to take a look at a carburetor. I've gotten a lot of people who've asked me about carburetors and how to clean them. And I've got one in that's really nasty. I've just about got it cleaned up, but I figure I'd start over and we'll go through it all over again. Just to answer any questions. Okay guys, so now we're going to work on a carburetor that came off of a 12 horsepower Briggs & Stratton motor, and I will show you all the little pieces and what I have done and what we are going to do to get them clean. Most of the pieces I've already cleaned. Like I said, I really wasn't planning on doing a video, but I thought maybe this will help. This is the air cleaner assembly, or the base. The air cleaner is going to sit on here, and then the cover will sit and it'll bolt down. I've cleaned this, went through it and cleaned it all out, so no debris is going to go down into it. And let me show you this carburetor. This is a Walbro. You can see that. Walbro, W-A-L-B-R-O if you need to look it up. Carburetor. It's for Briggs & Stratton. It is an LMT model, and you can see the LMT right there. Right there. And what I've done, I've taken all the bolts out of it that I can. I've unscrewed everything that I possibly can, and I have cleaned the outside, because if you're going to clean it, you got to clean the outside first, in my opinion. You want to brush it clean with a wire brush, soak it, spray it off, pressure wash it, whatever you want to do. You're going to clean this guy, and then you're going to let it set. You're going to let it set, let it dry. And then we are going to actually go through and clean out every little channel that there is in there with a welding tip cleaner, or a safety pin that's been straightened out, or an air gun cleaning tip, something like that. This is the float. The float, and I've done this before. Let's move this camera over here. The float floats. That's what you want. It's not leaking, it's not cracked. The float works. And we're going to go ahead and pause this right here. More to come in just a second. Okay, this is the bowl. This is where the gas sits and is drawn up into the carburetor. You can see it's pretty nasty, but I've cleaned it, scrubbed it, scraped it. I'm going to scrub it clean one more time, and we're going to use this again. Actually, nothing loose is coming off. I'm going to soak this And again, I'm using what I always use. This is Purple Power degreaser. It's really a lot safer than acetone or gasoline. Doesn't eat your skin up like it does, and it doesn't eat the gaskets up, which is really a good thing as well. And I'm just scrubbing it with a soft bristle toothbrush. Now, one of my big pet peeves is, so you're going to take all the time and clean the part, then you're going to put those nasty ass bolts and nuts back on. Go ahead and clean them too. Doesn't take a second. You won't ever have to worry about it freezing up, sticking, or anything like that. Go ahead and clean it. And these are all the parts. This is a screw that goes in the carburetor. It's for an access, a clean out, and also an adjustment. I've cleaned it, but we're going to go through and clean it again in just a second. And I'm going to get every little part out of here so we can go through this. Okay, guys, this is the little hinge pin that the float pivots on. I've got it cleaned and scrubbed, and we're going to go through, like I said, all the little pieces. This is the bowl nut. If you were to have a anti-backfire solenoid, it would bolt in here. Some models have those, some models have these. You can take the anti-backfire solenoid out and use this and bolt it in, and it does fine. Just put a manual fuel cutoff valve and cut the fuel off when you're through using your mower or your motor, and it does fine. That's something you can do. The gasket is still on that nut, and the gasket is in good shape. And this is the needle valve. It's in good shape. I've cleaned it a little bit. There's no varnish on it, so it looks like it will be ready to go back in. And I think I have, nope, this is the high-low adjustment. I've taken it out, cleaned it, scrubbed it, and we're going to put it back in, and I'm going to show you how to put it back in to set it so you don't have to adjust it as much. So now I'm just going to go through it and clean it just like we would if I haven't. I've already cleaned it, but we're going to go through it and clean it. This is a welding needle tip cleaning set. I got this from Andy, and this is that's Mikey's dad. He gave this to me, and I have used it a lot. I also like to use an air gun cleaning needle because it's about 5 inches long. It has a little circle on the end, and you can really get down in there and clean the tips. Let me reposition this camera. Now, what we are going to do is lay out all these small parts, take a look at them, and make sure everything is inventoried and it is okay. This is the clean out, that little access I was telling you about. We're going to run this through it, clean it, make sure it's okay. The tip, you don't want to open it up too far. That's cleaned and ready to go, believe it or not. This, I cleaned it out earlier. The float, it works, it actually floats. We're going to clean it off in a little bit. Just a second, it will be ready to go. Now, the carburetor body, the main piece of the carburetor, we're going to go down through and clean out all the little jets and orifices. The bad thing about this, the main jet is seized in there. It will not come out. I've tried it, sprayed it, and let it sit. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean it out. A lot of them won't. So we're just going to clean it out with it sitting in there. You may get a rough idle because of this, because there's some small holes in the sides that need to be cleaned as well. You may get a chop idle to it because of that. But, hey, that's all you can do other than getting another carburetor. More to come in just a second, guys. Okay, guys, now what we're going to do first is we're going to make sure that all of the little freeze plugs or inserts are in there, because sometimes they will have popped out. That one is in place. and that one is in place and it's intact. A lot of times you will get them and one will be popped out. You can buy a rebuild kit and press them in, and that'll take care of it. If you get one and it just runs erratically and crazy and everything like that, take your carburetor off and check to see if this thing has been popped off, because a lot of times that will be sucking in air and it will not idle properly. But all these little holes, these little ports, we're going to go down into them. We're just going to clean it. We're not going to force anything, just going to clean it out a little bit. And then when you get through doing this, blow it out with a compressor. I'm not going to do that because you know how to do that. We're going to clean every one of these out. Now, this is where your high-low adjustment goes through, and you'll see. You know that's clean. You don't want to open up the hole inside the carburetor much, or at all. You'll have a problem. This is where the little clean out, that little brass screw goes. Cleaned it out, and we're going to go down inside this main jet, clean it out. How do you know that you're getting down in there? Well, you can see it's kind of popping through on the other side. There, you see it. So that's cleaned out as well. Everything is clean. The gasket is remarkably in pretty good shape. So now we're going to put it all back together. Okay, guys, this is the needle in the carburetor that sits over a little bitty hole. This has a little rubber tip. It's called a Vitron, V-I-T-R-O-N tip, and it plugs the hole up. As the float opens and closes, goes back and forth. So this tip is all cleaned up, and we're going to put it on the float. It sets, let me turn this up where you can see it. It sets like this on the float. Now we're going to put it inside this hole, and you can't put it on wrong. Sets down inside it. This is the little hinge pin, and we're going to slide it in. Slide it in. There we go. We're going to get it centered. That's it. And congratulations, guys, you have just cleaned your needle valve. And the float, you can see how the float has the fuel. I'm holding it at an angle so the camera will pick it up, but as the fuel fills up, it goes up. It doesn't allow any more fuel in. As it drops down, as the fuel is burnt, it allows more fuel in. It does that. There we go. Now, while we've got this guy down, let's go ahead and put the bowl gasket, the bowl, and the bowl nut. We're going to go ahead and get this all put on here. I'm finger tightening it. There. Now, more to come in just a second. Okay, now we're going to put in this high-low adjustment, and what we're going to do is screw it all the way down, and then we're going to back it out 2 1/2 turns, and we're not going to force it in. We're going to put it all the way in to where it just gets tight, and you can see the tip protruding from this little hole, and I'll show you. Like I said, we're not going to do it killer tight. You can see the hole is kind of blocked up now. Okay, so we're going to go out 2 1/2 turns. It's a 1/2 turn, 1 turn, 1 1/2, 2, 2 1/2. That gets you in the ballpark as far as a decent crank and idle. We're going to take this, I can't remember what this is called. It's an access or a clean out, and if it's filthy it won't run for nothing. Can't remember what it's called. Somebody will comment and say what it is. We're going to screw this guy back in, and then we're going to snug the bottom of this bowl up. I believe this is going to be a 7/16, so we're going to snug it up, and then guys, we are through. That's a 7/16. That's it. That's all we're going to do. Okay guys, now take a look. Everything's all steamy and hot. Rain's gone. Now it's like 95 degrees. We've gotten this carburetor cleaned and we've gotten it put back together, and we are going to put it on this snapper again. I'm going to crank it up. I want to crank it up with it setting on this snapper, because if this thing's is going to be a problem, knocks, smokes, anything like that, there's no sense in even taking it apart. I'll just or swapping the motor over to the Murray. What I'll do is I'll just tear everything apart and take off what I need and scrap the rest of it. So that's it guys. I know it's kind of a long video, but I've had about 15 or 20 people in the past 10 days, I guess, ask about carburetors. So I figured it was worth it. If you have any questions or comments or anything, leave them down below. Thanks for subscribing guys. I really appreciate it. Y'all take it easy.